Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome. I am the Crypto Crow. Now, I'm going to be going over some stuff today because I see this narrative playing out amongst crypto adopters, whether you're early adopters, you're late adopters, like whatever the case is, you're getting into blockchain and you seem really concerned. I've been really concerned, and I've suddenly, things have just started to click with me and started to make sense. I've been very much worried about the future of blockchain, the future of cryptocurrencies, and what I think is happening. And I've experienced so many different things in crypto, and some of the stuff has just not made any sense, and has caused a great deal of worry and concern for myself because, hell, I mean, that's my living. Like, cryptocurrency is my livelihood, my YouTube channel, my investments into the crypto space. And so I get a lot of questions related to, what's the government going to do to crypto? What does this mean to us? Is it all going to zero? Is it all going to the moon? Like, what's happening, Crow? And I think I have a pretty decent idea as to exactly what that is and how to answer that question now. And I feel a lot better. So one of the biggest concerns that we're seeing is in like this Operation Choke Point, right? And we see people like, the SEC and Senator Warren, and how, Ben BitBoy has pointed out how they've been kind of in cahoots apparently, with coordinated questions and answers and all sorts of things. And as it relates to basically, Biden's effort to try and shut down crypto, okay? And it's funny because if you look at it even from a political standpoint, you see people on the right, the more conservative leaning people, are very much pro crypto. Why? Because it's all about freedom of choice, freedom of financial aptitude, financial responsibility. And then you see people on the left, who are like they seem anti-crypto in a lot of ways, even though I know some really, really hardcore liberals who are very much pro-crypto. They do trading bots, they do all kinds of stuff. So it's not necessarily everyone, right? And I'm not trying to paint a broad stroke picture, but if you ask somebody that's far left leaning about things like NFTs or cryptocurrencies, that's garbage, that's this, that's that, because there's something about the left of this country that really seems to have changed from the old Democratic Party to who they are now. I mean, it really is truly mind-blowing. And there's definitely elements of just, it's very much a hive-minded mentality where nobody necessarily seems to have an individual thought of their own, but they are very much all about regurgitating and repeating things that they hear over and over and over. And it almost comes off as like a very emotional yet robotic way of thought. It's almost eerie and kind of creepy in a way, because I've seen it across all channels. So we have these people on the left who are very much anti-crypto. So for them to see a kind of an anti-crypto narrative from our government, well, they're thinking, yes, like nobody should be rich off of crypto. You got to have money to invest, and we don't have money, so we can't invest. And so why should they be rich and we be poor? It's very much we don't want to do anything, but we want money and we want what we want, and give it to us or we're going to burn your building down kind of thing. I mean, it's kind of insane, but that's where we're at today. And the current administration very much caters to that narrative, that idea, right? And there's definitely a very big, broad mission. I didn't even bring it up here. I actually just bought a copy of the Communist Manifesto because I know that there are a lot of practices that we see politically that are basically spelled out verbatim in this book. As I've seen references to it, I'm like, okay, I'm going to go straight to the source. I'm going to read it and I'll report on it later. But and maybe I'm wrong, and if I'm wrong, I'm going to address that too. But me, I like to learn both sides of every coin. I don't necessarily believe any one side or the other. There's corruption, there's lies, there's all kinds of garbage on either side of the aisle, and I'm very much aware of that. So don't kid yourself. I'm not trying to be anti-left, and I'm not anti-right. I'm very much anti-truth, freedom for all, and all of us working in unity to better ourselves and each other for a brighter brighter day, but that's probably not happening anytime soon. Now, diving a little bit deeper into this, because I know I start getting political and some people start to check out because there's already people emotionally triggered by this video, but you're going to miss out if you leave. So here's the thing. We see these narratives, right? And we see this administration very much basically saying, hey, we're anti-crypto. We want to shut this down. You know, it's unsafe, right? Everything's unsafe. Everything that the government does is about keeping us safe, keeping us protected, whether it's from some unknown force, some invisible force, some person that they say is really, really bad, even though there's no record of any of it. Like it's insanity, but people eat it up. They just gobbledygook it. It's like it's sickening to see, but that's where we're at. However, I've learned that under any of these grand narratives is an underlining agenda, and it's always to serve the people that are footing the bill. Who is footing the bill for a lot of these agenda? Well, Wall Street's one, and they do this through lobbying. They do this through campaign donations. They do this in a variety of different ways to basically further seize control or obtain control over whatever the topic is. Now, back in the day, we would see these big narratives from JP Morgan and all of these big investment groups, okay, basically trashing Bitcoin, trashing crypto, trashing all of this stuff. At one point, Jamie Dimon said, if any of my employees are caught buying crypto, even for their personal portfolios, I'll fire them. That's how dramatic it was, right? And what do we know now? We know now that entire time, they were actually building their own internal infrastructure for being able to invest in blockchain technology with their own investment vehicles. Now, when we look at some of this stuff, now JP Morgan reveals a $900 billion gold-based implied Bitcoin price alongside an Ethereum upgrade prediction warning. Okay. Now, the gist of this article is basically saying that gold is rising. Gold is rising because it's an inflation hedge to a lot of people, unless the government decides to just steal it like they did I forget what president it was, but basically said, turn in all your gold or else. But you can't really do that with Bitcoin, right? Because if it exists on a blockchain wallet, they don't even know you have it for the most part, unless you're transacting with that wallet or you're cashing it out into fiat on an exchange like, Coinbase or Kraken or any of these US regulated exchanges that track and monitor everything. And of course, willingly turn it over to groups like any government agencies that ask for it. They couldn't operate effectively as a US regulated body unless they did that. So you can't hate the exchanges for playing ball that way, or they would just not be in business. Now, the flip side to that is to a large degree, they're able to obtain insurances and things to protect the assets on those exchanges that a lot of these shadier exchanges aren't able to. So if you get hacked or you lose funds, well, then it's more of a morality play as to whether or not these exchanges have made enough money to make good on some of these hacks and the loss of tokens. If they haven't, they could just say, sorry, don't use the exchanges to store your crypto, which is what I always say. You use an exchange like a public toilet. You go in, you do your business, and you get the hell out of there before you catch syphilis from the toilet seat. Okay? Now, that's the way everybody says that, and I've said it for years and years, but people still leave crypto on exchanges, and I don't understand why. It's nonsensical. Now, moving forward in this big grand narrative, there's still so many different things. With the gold price rising above $2,000, the value of gold held for investment purposes outside central banks is currently valued at around $3 trillion. JP Morgan analysts led by Nicholas, I don't have a clue what that last name is, wrote in a note seen by The Block. In turn, this implies a $45,000 price for Bitcoin under the assumption that Bitcoin equalizes gold and private investors' portfolio in risk, capital, or volume adjusted terms. They're basically saying in a nutshell that Bitcoin's going to be going up. But they think that Ethereum is likely going to go down because it's not performing the way it was promised after this big Shanghai upgrade. The strategists also warned the Ethereum price could face selling pressure over the next few months due to its recent Shanghai upgrade that saw the Ethereum network complete its switch from Bitcoin's proof of work consensus mechanism to the more energy efficient proof of stake. We thus expect Ethereum to somewhat underperform Bitcoin over the near term. Now, that's not to say that it can't transition out of that as people continue, FOMOing in. And there's a lot more to these articles, but this is all a part of a kind of a grand narrative now. Because what happened? Well, you know what? Here's Onyx. Onyx is by JP Morgan, transforming the way money, information, and assets move around the world. Why is this important? Well, because the entire time JP Morgan was trashing Bitcoin, telling everybody to stay out of it, it's bad, it's no good. They're trying to drive the price down in the public eye. Oh, wow, JP Morgan, the people I've been investing and using for my banking and everything for years is telling me to stay away from this really bad asset. Well, let's just call it orange crypto, okay? Because that seems to be what they do. They want to demonize anything that isn't directly affecting or benefiting them in some financial way, or it's hurting them in a way that benefits the public and not them directly. And so they create these narratives around it. Well, now that things have transitioned, formed in 2020, I'll let that sink in a minute. Formed in 2020, Onyx has pioneered the world's first bank-led blockchain platform for the exchange of value, information, and digital assets. I wonder what information. Could it be social media data? Are they opening a marketplace for companies to be able to sell data on each and every one of us? I don't know. I'm just guessing because I didn't go that deep into it. An information exchange network that enables seamless payment-related data sharing between institutions. How interesting is any of this? So not only are they basically building a platform, or have they built a platform for blockchain networks, enabling the exchange of value for various types of digital assets, but you're able to sell blockchain, you're able to sell information, data, all sorts of stuff on JP Morgan's new platform. And what's interesting about this is that when we go and we look at a lot of these major institutional players in the space that were all trashing Bitcoin back in the day, now they all have their own trading desks. They have invested millions, if not billions of dollars into the blockchain space and creating vehicles by which their investors are able to buy these assets from them. Now, here's the thing. I don't believe Operation 2.0 or any of these efforts by the SEC or, whether it's Gensler or the senator, I can't remember her name now. I just said it, but it's skipping my noggin here. I think this is all about doing the same thing that they're doing, like Janet Yellen, right? Like they're all trying to consolidate control. They're consolidating control and power. And by that, I mean, as each cycle continues and we perpetuate these ideas of blockchain disrupting everything on a global scale, what we're seeing is the efforts of these big corporations, these big institutions, Wall Street's governments, they're realizing this is not going away. This is not a fad. There are so many people growing into the space. Cardano's number of addresses continues to grow. TVL grows. Everything keeps growing. But they don't want the public to be able to do it on their own. They don't want you to be able to go out and buy Bitcoin anonymously anywhere, store it and bury it in your yard and then not know you have it. So they want to basically institute regulations that are going to make sure that if you on-ramp or off-ramp into or out of a blockchain cryptocurrency somewhere or anywhere, they know you have it. A, because they want to be able to tax the shit out of you on it. B, because they want the institutional lobbyist partners that are funding their campaigns to profit from your interest in these new spaces. That is what I believe it all boils down to. Very much so. I'm going to take a look at this as an example. Ukraine plots post-war rebuilding effort with, of course, JP Morgan and Chase as economic advisor. They are empowering these institutions to take on new things that are going to drive up profitability, which then comes back to them in the forms of lobbyists and donations and things to keep them in positions of power, of which they're also profiting from in a variety of different ways. This is American government. This is how they work. They distract you over here. They point the finger while they're doing whatever it is that they feel is necessary for their own benefit with the other hand. And so many people are buying into these narratives hook, line, and sinker because all of the major media outlets are perpetuating these ideals. They're perpetuating these stories, these narratives that ultimately just hurt you, and they keep you out of the light. And if you're searching for light in the midst of all of this stuff, the only way you're going to find it is often by really diving deep, and diving deeper than what the mainstream media is willing to share with you. Because in their eyes, you are a commodity. You are absolutely nothing more than a means for them to profit. And that is it. That is all you mean. I do not care what any of these groups tell you to your face. You mean jack squat. That's it. They don't look at you as people with needs, with pains, with suffering, with any of the. You're not. You're nothing. To a lot of these people, these are narcissistic driven individuals who perpetuate their own careers based off of lies, manipulation, and corruption to the highest degree. You mean absolutely nothing in the grand scheme of what they're doing to and among each other. They are playing a game with each other. They are all competing with each other. And in that game, you do not compute. You are not an equation in that outside of what they can get from you. And I don't care what side you are on. It is a universal truth and has been forever. Now, to move forward into some of this, I want to point this book out to you, Confessions of an Economic Hitman. This is the 3rd edition. I read the 1st edition of this book a long time ago. If you have any interest in understanding why situations like the Ukraine happen, some of the Middle Eastern countries and things like that, if you really want to understand what goes on behind the scenes against all of the narratives that are perpetuated by mainstream media, read this book, because this is written by a gentleman who his whole job was to, well, let's just say, gain control of companies that had something we want and how they go about doing that. And there are stages to it. It's almost like a mafia hitman shows up and says, you can take the money or the bullet. Which is it? And if you decline, then there are a lot of things that happen, some of which can be, well, you're going to war one way or another. And through that war, we're going to gain control over your country. So it is what it is. Now, here's another side to this. This is obviously the World Economic Forum. And of course, they're going to have a say in what's going on in crypto regulation, because why wouldn't they? They're woven into every major left-wing government throughout the world right now. Cryptocurrency regulation, where are we now and where are we going? This is from March 28th of 2022. Analysts have warned that the industry is so large it could have macroeconomic consequences if mismanaged. Basically, and we know that Biden is, of course, a part of this World Economic Forum agenda. And what we also know is that Trump was not. Trump went to the World Economic Forum meeting in Davos back in the day and basically flipped everybody off and said, you know what, you guys do your thing, but I'm going to make America great again. Ultimately saying, I'm not playing a role in this agenda that you guys have going on. And since that time, what has transpired since? I mean, this has been like an army, a sea of everyone from media to banking to politics to World Economic Forum official, you name it. And they've all been like stomping at the ground like they're trying to get rid of a roach. And it has been absolutely nauseating, to be quite honest with you, and very, very exhausting, if I'm honest. I wish it would all just come to an end and just these people, I don't know. I mean, I don't even know what to say about that. It's a whole other topic. But early in March, President Biden signed off on the long-awaited executive order on ensuring a responsible development of digital assets. A high profile, you know what, I'll switch this to that so you guys can see it a little bit better. A high profile acknowledgement of the potential of the cryptocurrency industry. That executive order commits the White House to taking part in research on cryptocurrencies and to engaging departments across the government to collaborate in the creation of a regulatory framework for digital assets. Here's the thing. I know that a lot of people out there, they see stuff like this and they're fearful. And they're thinking to themselves, oh my gosh, the government is going to shut down. Sorry about that. The government is going to shut down blockchain. And we see all of these narratives, but I do not believe that that is the case. I believe that if you are already holding cryptocurrencies, and you're holding substantial cryptocurrencies, like a part of me sometimes wonders how much of this meme coin market is somehow, and I don't know a lot about it. Yeah, I have my Crow token, but we all know my Crow token is it's, I call it the best shitcoin on Cardano. I have no claims to like it's going to do anything at all. The market will do with it as the market wants. However, excuse me, there are some of these meme coin projects out there that are substantially funded to create a narrative, to create marketing, to get you to FOMO in expecting that price to rise. And I am a little skeptical of some of these meme coin projects because while it's fun right now, and I look at meme coins as just a fun thing, it's all a gamble. You know, people are literally investing in something that can take air and turn it into a solid. I mean, that's ultimately what it boils down to. It's taking an idea, a notion, an ideal, and it's creating a method for monetizing it. Okay, whether that's comedy, whether that's some sort of global mission, or I mean, it doesn't matter what it is, but it's ultimately funding an idea. Okay, or it's just basically playing a part in a comedic economy full of people that think shit's funny, and they pump it with their tokens to continue building the community around it. You're like, it's very, very interesting the way a lot of these meme token ecosystems work. However, there's a small part of me that thinks, could there be something a little darker to a lot of these meme tokens and the current rise and the valuation of a lot of these meme tokens in this market cycle as it is? Because, well, maybe I'll save that for another topic another day. I don't want this to get too long. It's already 20 minutes. Hopefully I haven't lost many people. There's so much to be said. I guess I will just close this video here and say, I don't think that I don't think that they're going to shut down crypto. I think ultimately what a lot of this stuff boils down to is they're trying to institute a means for making sure that new people in the crypto space have to go through certain protocols or certain vehicles, such as something offered by JP Morgan, or basically any of the institutions that play a role in funding the grand agendas associated with our progression into transhumanism and who knows what. Listen, left wing, right wing, it doesn't matter to me. Give me a way to live forever, and even in a virtual realm, and maintain who I am as an individual. Okay, cool. I'll vote for you. I don't really care. Agendas be damned. You show me how I'm going to live forever, and I'm on board. But until then, you're just trying to take my money and manipulate my thoughts so that I'm just another little programmed lemming doing whatever it is you want me to do, so that you can make enough money to fly your private jets over 40 times a year and tell me I can't. So, I mean, but that's just how I look at it right now. Hopefully that changes someday in the future when some of these things change and improve in themselves. But I'm not holding my breath on any of that. So overall, listen, I think if you're already in the crypto space, you're probably going to be fine. That's just my opinion. I could be wrong. But I think that they're going to very much work out ways to control off-ramps into fiat if that's what you choose to do. I think in order for us as a blockchain-based society who really believes in the technology, we have to start seeing more use cases on highly scalable and interoperable blockchains such as Cardano, and there are others out there, I'm sure. Cosmos looks to be pretty good. I mean, there are quite a few out there, but we have to start seeing, like karate.com is a prime example. It's a real world use. Right now, it's more for fun, being able to bet in an only up gaming kind of effort, but it's basically taking something from the real world, these real world events, these tournaments, these like karate/MMA type tournaments, and they're basically distributing tokens for free, bringing people into the space, bringing people into crypto in a kind of a backdoor way, right? We have to start seeing real world use cases. I need to see new ways that I can go take my wife and family to dinner and pay with my crypto. I want to be able to go to any car dealership, and if I want, I need to be able to buy a car with my crypto, which you can to some degree, but it's a little bit cumbersome, it's a little bit challenging, and it's not as easy as swiping your card in most cases. And right now, I don't really trust a lot of the groups that are out there revealing or releasing ways to do this. JP Morgan let's be honest, you would trust them to make sure that your crypto is there, or your money is there when you want to swipe that little blockchain card of yours that says JP Morgan blockchain and buy your car, buy your house, or buy your clothes or whatever. But even beyond that, we need to see a more widespread number of use cases in the cryptocurrency space so that we don't have to cash out our crypto into fiat dollars. The whole rule of thumb is what is the value of a Satoshi in 2025? One Satoshi. The difference is what can you get with it? And it doesn't necessarily, and I don't believe it's always going to reflect the value of US dollars. There will be a day when US dollars are no more. Mark my words, that day is coming, likely sooner than we think, and probably before 2030. And a lot of this stuff that's going on is to make sure that what you do between now and then is under the control of those who control everything now and don't want to lose it. And the idea of blockchain technology disrupting this and disrupting that and shutting down the major banks and so forth, I think that's a pipe dream, folks. I do. I think if anything, us early adopters who've been in the space and have been able to change our lives up to now, and maybe even up to this next market cycle in 2025, but that's probably going to be it. And I doubt we're going to get that lucky, because I think a lot of stuff is going to happen before the next 2024 election, or there's a chance it may not happen the way a lot of these folks want to see it go down. So I'm going to be paying very close attention, but overall, I think we're going to be fine. I just think it's going to be a matter of how much more difficult things are going to be and who we have to go through to do certain things. Until next time, guys, crow your coins. I hope this helps you. I'll see you soon.